friends, and welcome to The Sacred Space. We are your hosts, Diana Green Dragon
and Khemet Raa.
We are a show about honoring and living your life magically. We're here to have a real honest conversation about what it takes to establish personal growth, honor personal growth, come into your personal power, and learning and creating a life where you're living in love.
We're also just two witches in the city, living our lives and trying to live our dreams.
We're going to initiate the beginning of each show with creation of sacred space, because we do feel that the workings that we're doing through this show, and yes, this is workings, is one that needs to be held within sacred space. A sacred space where we'll be able to have a genuine and honest conversation about things that we need to come to understand of ourselves, of our shadow, of our power, so that we can transform these things into bigger and better things, for us to be able to honor each other as the knowing witches that we are, the rebels, the renegades. Once we're done with our working, we're going to wind things up. Hopefully, this will all resonate with you, and whatever powerful thing stirs in you will stir in you. So we'll be able to kind of bring things down, wind things down, and we will end each show with a brief meditation with cosmic impulses of love to be able to help you on your journey of self-discovery.
Hail to the east, our air, our breath. Help us feel the lady's power and presence within our mind. Hail to the south, our fire, our passion. Help us feel the lady's power and presence within our spirit. Hail to the west, the womb of water. Help us feel the lady's power and presence within our emotions. And hail to the north, our earth, our stability, our solid foundation. Help us feel the lady's power and presence in our soul. Hail to the spirit. What is above us is also below us and all around us. Help us feel the lady's power and her creation that is all of us.
All right, my beloved friends, so what are we going to talk about today?
Getting your shit together?
Let's get our shit together.
So Diana, start us off. Tell us, what should we be thinking about when we are wanting to get our shit together?
Thank you for that. Okay, so the things that we need to think about when we acknowledge the fact that we need to get our shit together, what does that even mean? It means that there are probably a lot of areas of your life that need to be fine-tuned. That's okay. We constantly outgrow things. We grow. Evolution is one of the most powerful and beautiful things that we can experience as human beings. And we need to be able to acknowledge our own personal power and use our daily magical practices, use our connection with the universe to get our shit together. What does that mean? Again, it means being grateful for having a job, and then recognizing that you can't live happily because you're in chronic debt. You're constantly struggling. Well, getting your shit together, the steps involved, honestly, it's not for the faint of heart, right?
Right. So, question for you. So, what do you think is the number one way people need to get their shit together? Because I know you briefly mentioned financially, but what would you say is the first thing? What's the first step?
I think the first step in trying to make your life a much happier, safer place is to look at it honestly. Oftentimes we want to put glitter on things because we've been doing it for years, and we forget that we need to step back and really look at our lives honestly. What the many tags that you wear. Are you a mother, a father, a child? Are you a grandparent? Or what is your job title? How do you make your money? All those different ways that you introduce yourself to the world to. What does that look like? Are you unhealthy? Are you unhappy? Are you chronically broke? Do you live in a toxic environment? Do you have nobody to be able to speak to because nobody else seems to understand your words and you're in unhealthy places? Things are what they are, and you need to, I feel, and this is when I say you, I mean the whole cosmic you, I'm not picking on you. I think that we just need to step back and realize and go, oh, I've got a lot of work to do, and that's okay, because once you acknowledge something, you've sparked that fire within yourself and in the universe to move you in the directions to be able to get your shit together. So honesty with self.
So then, question for you: how did you get your shit together, or what was the first thing that you did, or what was that turning point that let you know now's the time?
Okay, so as a beautifully flawed human being, I have come to this point in my life so many times, and that's great because we're humans, so we're ever evolving. So for me, I know that there are different parts of my life where I can look back and go, that's when I made a dramatic shift. Whether it was in my super youth and leaving unhealthy friendships because I'm recognizing that what the version of these teenagers or young adults looks like what that's going to look like as an adult, I couldn't have any part of that. So I had to separate myself, and that's a painful, painful thing to have to do sometimes. I've done it with employment. I've done it with other relationships. And each time you do, you're just kind of leveling up. So for me, one of the last massive changes of gear is pretty much I had illness. There were a lot of physical factors. There were a lot of emotional factors, financial. And at one point I had to make the change for my safety and for the safety of my children. Mm-hmm. So I looked back and I recognized, well, okay, hold on a second. Things are a mess. What is my role in this? Because, I'm not a victim, shit happens. And things couldn't have gotten in any aspect of life the way they were if I wasn't a willing participant at some point, whether I didn't exercise my boundaries correctly or whether when we're toxic in other parts of our lives, we forget that we can trust our gut, and it takes some work to be able to quiet other things down so that we can start listening to that internal voice that says, yes, keep doing more of this instead of, go take a nap.
So maybe you would say that step one is assessing your current situation?
Yes, assessing your current situation. Where are you?
Right.
And where are you unhappy?
What do you think would be next? Is it maybe planning, or is it figuring out where you want to go?
Honestly, I think that first step is kind of a doozy, because sometimes we have to admit within ourselves that we may not be the people that we think we can be. We start to have the monkey brain, and then we have to start, years of people in society telling us that maybe our mindset is wrong, or when you're stuck in status quo, if this is your reality, it's kind of hard for you to recognize that you really can break away. Right. So I think that first acknowledging of where you are in life, whether it's whatever your thing is currently, if your house is a mess, your house is a mess. Don't make fucking excuses for it. Just my house is a mess. If you're out of shape and overweight, don't blame it on, oh, well, I don't have time. No, it fucking is what it is. So look at where you are right now. And I think that sitting with that and recognizing, okay, so if I'm always thinking about my weight, or if I'm always thinking about money, if I'm always thinking about this, stopping to say, okay, wait, so you've been trying to talk to me, this thing, let's have this conversation. Why am I always thinking about weight this way? Why am I always looking at money this way? Why do I feel this way about my career or my job, or therefore lack of?
Right.
Having a conversation within yourself to acknowledge these things that you need to change, I think that's the first big doozy. Mm-hmm. And I think that acknowledging that doesn't necessarily happen overnight. I think that the inspiration that you gain from acknowledging these things is huge. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to help spark the fire to move you in the next direction. And that's changing your language. Okay. So changing the language. I mean, okay, you're listening to this, so you're some kind of witch, right? We're presuming, or you're open to the fact that we are responsible for our environment, yes, and that that energy is the thing that is built all throughout the cosmos. Okay, cool. So many of us, when we're in these different unhealthy states of being, our language sucks. It's fucking miserable.
Right.
As a matter of fact, this fucking morning, I talked to this woman who isn't very much of open heart and mind, but she's, it's her thing, and that's fine. And she's explaining to me these horrible, horrible choices that she's about to make with a man who she has already deemed as a very unhealthy person who she doesn't really like, but she just wants the comfort of this other being. And I said, wow, you've just openly told me that this person has physically told you to leave them alone. And when they have a weak moment and they call you at 3:00 in the morning, you open your door and your heart and your body to this person, and you're seriously contemplating a relationship. And this person tells me, well, I just make bad choices. That's what I do.
So are they?
Yes, there's a lot there.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. So, okay. So just to start with assessing their situation.
Yeah.
They're in a situationship.
Yes.
Where they have been chasing this person who basically does not want them.
Correct.
And then they are making excuses as to why they should be willing to go and open, you said, their hearts, their mind, and their body to them. Do they not see that that's dragging them down?
Well, see, she does. That's just it. Her thought, and she's repeated this several times during the conversation, and it was, I just make bad choices. Like, that's her thing. And in other conversations with her of similar tone, I try to tell her, no, like you can, like the fact that you think that this is what you do, you can change that if that's not making you happy.
Right.
And she is not in a place in life yet where she can pretty much understand that she can respect herself.
Wow.
That she can love herself, that she is allowed to say no.
Now, when you were talking about how, the language that she's choosing, it sounds like she's also always putting herself down.
Yes, exactly.
So in other aspects of her life, are you seeing her maybe even talk about her body and herself? Yes,
entirely, because it's all connected. So how we express ourselves, sometimes even accidentally on the fly, sometimes these things are really, really telling. And if your language is always a negative one about, I'm never going to have money, I'm never going to travel, I'm never going to find love, I'm never going to be healthy. Well, yeah, you're fucking telling the universe, don't bother with me.
Yes.
Because I've already fucking tapped out of this bitch.
Right.
And that's so fucking unfair to you.
Okay, so before we started recording, you were talking about thought creates form. Yes. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm probably the best science geek ever, although I do heart me some science geek. But the one thing energy is everywhere, and energy has different forms of math, and some of it is through etheric waves and just the palpable energy that we feel within the force.
Right.
And on a human level, the way, based on like the things like law on attraction, I guess I can use the word based, but the way you carry yourself, the way your language is, that's what you're attracting. That's what you're creating in your life. There have been countless studies that show that when you treat this plant really, really nice, it like fucking grows and thrives and it's beautiful and it's gorgeous. And then the other one just becomes like sad and dejected and it fucking dies.
Yes.
And this is with fucking language on something that we do not have the human capability of like directly communicating with.
Right.
So imagine doing that to your fucking selves every single second. And I do mean every second because this internal dialogue, whatever it is, that's there subconsciously too.
Right.
So for us to create change, we really need to change that internal dialogue. We need to create and manifest our new reality, the reality that we know we're worthy of, because whether this is the 15,000th time you heard this message or like what we're saying, like resonates with you, we're all here for the same fucking reason because this is our language.
Right.
So we're creating a space where we can have this conversation because we're kind of like cosmically grooving on the same wavelength, right?
Right.
So changing that language, that's how you create change and that's how it manifests its form.
And to just go back to that person that you were talking about in that story, I think and tell me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is instead of her saying that, I make these bad relationship choices or I just make these bad choices, if she was to instead say, you know what, I'm tired of this person and I'm done with them.
Yes.
And I want to bring into my life, XYZ quality.
Yes.
That she would actually bring that person to her.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Because right now she's telling herself and the universe, like everything that is her energetically is, if you want to fucking hang out with me, I need it. Let's do it. And that's not necessarily a bad energy to have, but when it's the way that she lives, of course, everything's a fractal of itself. So
Yes.
the way that she conducts her personal life, she is very much in need of human connection that to her looks like that. And she's very open about how she's always in unhealthy relationships. And she is yet to say, I don't want to be in these unhealthy relationships anymore. I deserve better.
Now, based on the conversations that you've had with her, has she ever had a positive, loving relationship?
No.
Wow.
No.
Now, when it comes to her body image, do you think it's the same thing? Like if she really focused and started maybe reading or listening to motivational podcasts or audiobooks, do you think that would help change what her reality currently is?
I definitely think so. She has recently, mothers, her child, was having some problems and she had to look for alternative forms of treatment to be able to help him out. And, I finally felt like we were both in a safe place for us to have a conversation. And I approached the fact that I'm like, hey, have you ever considered talking, because this child has multiple specialists. So, have you ever talked to, do you know anything about CBD and what that is? And she did. And she kind of like perked up. She was, you can tell this is something that, was probably in her heart and mind, but she, how do you, it still has like such bad, weird stigma. So anyway, so in doing her research, she really came to learn something and it helped her child drastically. And it also currently she's working on becoming physically fit. And I think that in her journey, if she's continuing to, to want to honor herself by becoming fit, she'll be able to transfer that into fit relationships, things that serve her. Because, when we have negative feelings on one aspect of our lives, it carries over through a lot of other things.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. And that's why going back to that original piece of just honoring where you are now, like it doesn't fucking matter. You just have to be honest about where you are because then you can start formulating a game plan.
Right.
Okay, this is where I am. This is what it looks like to me. This is what it's going to look like in the future. Do you want that? Yes or no? And if it's like, fuck that shit, I can do better, then fucking do it.
Right.
And just be honest with yourself.
So just to wrap up our session, I just want to repeat those 3 steps. So we're going to be assessing your current situation.
Yes, being honest about it.
Changing your language.
Yes, change that language.
And lastly, was thoughts create form.
Yeah.
So if you have good thoughts, good things will come.
Yeah.
So up next, we'll have our next session, which is going to be about keeping it real. So stay tuned.
Building on our first talk, we're going to talk about keeping it real. And what keeping it real for us is once you understand, once you really sat and you looked at everything over the screaming children, over the maybe intoxicated spouse, the non-existent partner, the boss that's like blowing up your cell phone, whatever. When you sit back and you look at what your life is, if that made you cry, we fucking love you because a lot of times who we have become, not who we are, these are all moments in time, who we've become through various reasons, it's fucking overwhelming. And sometimes it may feel shameful to be that person. You may be embarrassed to be that person. You may be like, well, I do this thing really good. That's fucking awesome too. Being real about where you are in life is important because only then can you really be honest about changes that you're going to need to make within yourself to create your reality. And for me, that's where the universe really comes into play because going back about changing language, the universe is fucking teeming with life and love. And you're fucking breathing, and that's beautiful.
Yes.
That's a fucking beautiful thing. You can check that off the list of, hey, this is reasons why I'm good. You're breathing. Yes, you have a fucking purpose. You are not a mistake. You fucking matter so goddamn much. And the universe, now that you've even listened to this, and whether you want to or not, something inside of you is going to start stirring up and going, oh my gosh, maybe, there's something to that. The universe is going to talk to you. it talks to us all the time. And sometimes we don't even realize that they're talking to us. It kind of becomes white noise and just, like alarm fatigue that people get in hospitals. Just pay attention. Just sit. And what animals are coming up to you? I'm not talking about like fucking forest animals. Like, well, it's actually, sometimes it can happen. I remember this one day, so this is what I mean by the universe talking to you. In this, ridiculously, dangerous place in my life, and I was making positive changes, and I'm feeling like I am about to lose my shit. Like, I cannot take one more piece of negative information from the external world because I am about to collapse, because my spine is just being held on by the thinnest of fucking string. And as I'm breathing and reaffirming that I'm a fucking beam of light, I see a fucking goat in someone's truck, like right behind, right?
A goat?
Yes, a goat. We're in the fucking suburbs, right? And there's a fucking goat. And I'm like, all right, there's a fucking goat. That's fucking weird. And of course I'm like, is that goat being harmed? Like, what is that goat's story? And this car, it didn't matter where I fucking went. It was like following me in reverse. Does that make any sense? Like, I'm following it, but wherever I was going, this fucking truck and goat are there too.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this all about? So, whatever. I get to my destination. But the goat is obviously in the back of my fucking mind, because there was a goat with me for like 7 miles. It was a long fucking goat trip.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, well, let's look this up. What is the fucking message of the goat? Like, literally, it's a fucking totem animal. The universe gave me a fucking message. Here's the fucking goat. Do with it what you will.
Right.
And what I learned from the goat that day was that, like, what do fucking goats do? They fucking climb up some fucking shady ass fucking mountains. And they don't question it. They just fucking do it.
Right.
They know that wherever they're going to land, it's going to hold their body weight, and they're just going to sit up there and chill.
Right.
So for me at that moment, it was like, yeah, the goat is fucking right. Like, I've done this shit before.
Right.
I just need to be confident in the fact that where I step, it's going to be the right step. It's okay.
Right.
I'll be able to hold myself up.
Right. You saying that, it reminds me of, so for our listeners, we live in Southern California, and we have a population of burros, donkeys. So in one of our local cities, Moreno Valley, there is this canyon basically where the burros are known to randomly, travel. And so talking about that, it's acknowledging and recognizing when they're coming and where they're going. It's all natural.
Yeah.
It's nature. They're just doing it by instinct.
Yeah.
They don't have to question, okay, where am I going? And again, when you run into them, because they travel in packs most times, it may be a moment to stop and look at what they can symbolize. The donkeys or the burros were known to be like a beast of burden. So maybe the burden that you're carrying isn't that heavy. It can be those symbols where, you recognize the goat that's in the car in front of you when you're traveling through the suburbs. It's those little things that really stick out to you, or maybe it occurs several times. So maybe if you're in an area and you see a pack of crows, what does that say to you? Or if you see that dragonfly that always will come out and maybe is buzzing outside your window, or if you're waking up and it's an early morning, but you hear a beautiful hummingbird or a bird outside and they're chirping, and it seems like they're chirping just specifically for you. It's those small things that we see that make life magical, but they're also our lessons.
Exactly. There's just so much songs. There's just so much cosmic synchronicity that takes place on a daily. Have you ever noticed that some of like your live music streams, at least for me, it seems like everything that I need at that moment just conveniently shows up.
Yes.
And for me, these are all little forms of cosmic synchronicity, like the energetic wave that I'm flowing at that moment, the universe is picking up on, and it's like, all right, let's groove with this.
Right.
So all of these little messages, songs, smells, the conversation. Now that this conversation's taking place, that part of your brain might be lighting up, and then other similar conversations are going to take place, and you're just going to continue to learn and grow, because you're going to remember that everything that we're doing is done with love.
Mm-hmm. Now, I enjoy the fact that we are also on this very positive vibe, but I want to take it to the dark place for a
Yes,
moment.
let's.
I just want to also acknowledge that sometimes you might be being an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Exactly.
I know when we started the podcast, you had even kind of mentioned that, you acknowledge that there are those moments that we have, but, in order for us to really, like, assess our situation, we have to acknowledge that sometimes we might be being an ass.
Yeah.
And we have to call ourselves out or hold ourselves accountable for those things that we do that are not really benefiting our lives.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's fucking hard. Like, okay, like think back, like I'm so grateful to be a mom because I'm such a better human being because I recognize that I am my daughter's first example of female.
Right.
And if this chick is going to look up to some bitch, it ain't going to be some random bitch. It's going to be me.
Right.
So how dare I tell her you can do anything you want if I'm like sitting back going, oh, maybe tomorrow. No, fuck that shit. You have to like step up to the plate,
right,
own your power, do your thing. So when we hear about these horrible cases of abuse,
yes,
and you think, man, why didn't that parent stop or whatever? Here in Southern California, we just had a case where a family was keeping 13 fucking children. They're 13 children.
And adults.
Yeah, that's true. They're fucking adults.
Yes.
Kept them fucking captive in their home. Like, there's so much bizarreness there. And you would think that maybe after, year 2 or whatever, this couple would turn to each other and say, hey, you know what? This is really fucked up. Like,
right.
we fucked up. Oh my God, how do we let shit get this far? Let's end it now.
Right.
Like, that would have been a fucking awkward conversation. It wouldn't have negated the abuse that had already taken place over those period of time, but it could have fucking stopped.
Right. The other thing, just to add on to that, is I have watched a couple of the YouTube videos of the news coverage, and the sister of the wife had come out and said that she had lived with them previously, and she saw some signs that some things weren't right, but she also didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So it's holding that accountable too, where, as you said, if you're going to be a role model for your daughter, you need to be that role model for your other family members. You have to be the person that's willing to step up or lean in, come forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Be that voice of reason if you're in a situation where there's not reason.
Yeah.
The thing that, stands out to me also about that story is how, the children, they had to dig deep and find that strength to say, you know what, we've had enough.
Yeah.
That this isn't right.
Exactly.
We don't know what's right. We haven't been out in the world a whole lot.
But this does not feel good.
Exactly.
This does not feel good. And that is their gut talking.
Yes. Yes.
That is their gut talking. And so if looking at yourself honestly, like we said earlier, if that made you cry, that's embrace it.
Right.
Embrace it and do something about it. Whether it be counseling, whether it be needing to separate yourself from we're not fucking telling you what to do, but other than look inward to make yourself healthy. And there's no shame in asking for help.
Right. It's
fucking huge to say, you know what? I have been an asshole for a long time, or I cannot believe that I am the kind of person that could have done this. This is what I have done. Stop it.
Yep. And again, you've talked about, we talked about assessing your situation and acknowledging that you may be an asshole. That's a part of that. That's looking at your situation and being very honest about what you are, who you are, and what your needs are. And then finding a way to, again, change your language and talk about those things in a way that is saying, okay, this may have been my past, but this isn't who I am now.
Exactly.
And then, putting thought into form, again, when we talked about this family that was from Southern California as well, there was something that their daughter had, if I'm not mistaken, she was the 17-year-old. She was about 80 pounds, and she had made sure that she had some kind of tool or something that she took with her and was able to get free. There was something about her looking at her situation and knowing that it wouldn't change unless she changed.
Exactly. That's
that
very
did
well
it.
said. Yeah. And that's perfect because sometimes we accidentally or purposefully or don't even recognize that we're victims.
Yes.
There are some people who live in victim, like they're like open about it, and everything happens to me. Well, again, going back to that language, change that fucking language. If something is happening to you again, okay, this shit is happening to me again. What can I do to help change?
Right.
And this is how you move from victim to survivor.
Yes.
We can all choose to be survivors.
Right. And I think, talking about getting caught in the idea of being a victim, sometimes people want to stay in that, and we have to acknowledge that that can be okay, but you don't want to live in that forever.
No.
Because you have survived.
Yeah.
And, again, as you said earlier, know that we see you, we hear you, we love you.
Yeah.
And we know that you can be brave, and you've been brave.
The fact that you're here, you have been so beautiful, and you have been so patient, and you have been so kind, and you deserve good things.
And again, don't forget that your life is a blessing. Being able to wake up each morning and breathe, that's a blessing.
Yeah. Even if sometimes moments in our lives feel like it's a fucking curse, like that's what this is all about. It's about if you're breathing, we can make things better. Collectively, we can make it better.
We can make it better.
Yeah, there's too much awesome shit in the universe. How can you as witches not make things better? You're going to make things better. You're making yourself healthy, being honest with yourself, and you're going to prepare yourself for the wild fucking transition that is the awesomeness of you and all of the wonderful things that the universe is going to be able to bring to you.
So that wraps up our Keeping It Real section. We'll be right back.
So what does all this mean?
Yeah, so tell me your last thoughts.
Last thoughts for me are being grateful to have had this moment with you. You,
Yes.
physical you, and all of you, cosmic you. Last thoughts are I'm excited to learn about all of your journeys. I'm excited that we are going to help you celebrate your you-ness and all of your evolution. What are your last thoughts?
My last thoughts, again, I'll say ditto. Again, I am very grateful for you and grateful for having this time to be in sacred space and to talk about what's really happening in, our lives, and to be able to start to unpack what it means to be a human and be successful and to be open to the good things and the blessings that are coming in life.
You are worthy of the awesomeness that you attract. That's a big acceptance.
Just want to throw out there to everyone, with this being our intro episode, in our description box below, we will have an email set up so you can send any questions that you have, questions, comments,
show suggestions.
Exactly.
You want to know what we're doing? Just guys. We have a microphone. Actually, we have two. We have several. All of them in the world.
So, you said that you had a meditation that you'd like to take us on?
Yeah. So to take us home, or maybe you're already home, but so to close out the show, we're going to do meditation. And this is something that we ultimately would like to do at each episode. Kind of some energetic working on what we talked about today so that if it resonated with you, or if you wanted to resonate with you, you can just be a part of this and help us, open ourselves and get aligned with the universe. So make sure that you're in a nice, comfortable position. If your position is driving, just, pay attention to the road. Just like with anything, if this is your quiet time, fucking honor that shit. Multitask that. Start off taking a nice deep inhale through your nose, and then you're going to exhale through your mouth. Let's have another. Those felt good. And wherever you are in your human body, wherever you are in your human space. Continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And remember that with each in-breath, you are breathing in universal energy. You are breathing in love. And you are exhaling things that no longer serve you. You are exhaling down. You are exhaling fear. And come into your body and acknowledge the presence of all that is around you, that which can be felt and can't be felt. And I want you to focus on that hum, that gentle squeeze that's coming from the planet's core. And it comes from deep down in the center. And it meets you to where your human body is. And it envelops you with a warm, golden light. And this golden light, whose pulse you can feel, extends out into the universe. In this moment, accept the fact that you are the universe and that the universe is within you. As you breathe in that love and acceptance, align yourself with the universe. And welcome its guidance. Welcome the guidance from the east and everything that is air. Welcome the memories that come, the knowledge, the intuition. Align yourself with new beginnings, with light coming through. Accept these gifts that will come to you in the days and weeks to come. Accept and honor the alignment that you have with everything that is south and the element of fire. Accept and honor that flutter in your belly, that spark that's craving change, that's creating life, that's transforming that which no longer serves you. Honor and accept the passion that these elements bring. You will be blessed with messages from all that is south and all that is fire. Accept this information. Let it open your mind and heart. Align yourself with all that is the west and all that is water. Allow for your green heart chakra to expand. Accept the fact that you are love and you are worthy of love. Align yourself with the energy of community, with patience, with steadfastness. Accept these gifts that will come in the days and weeks to come. Align yourself with the energy of North and Earth. Welcome the newness of life. Feel the growth within your heart and your soul. The stability, that which is certain. And what is certain is that all is love. Accept the lessons, the gifts, the communication from all that is North and all that is Earth. Keep breathing in this cosmic love and feel the universe dance within your body and all around. You are teeming with life. You are teeming with love. You are strong. You are powerful. You are the universe, and the universe is within you. And now that you've been kissed and hugged on and loved on by all that is life, take that gratitude and take that love and direct it to your thoughts on you, your thoughts on your life. Allow for an acceptance of what this journey is bringing you to, what it will reveal of you, what it will reveal of what you can do, what you must do. Take that energy and send an impulse of love to those things. And now be more mindful of your physical body. Wiggle your nose, scrunch your face, shrug your shoulders. Thank your body for being the vessel to this conduit of cosmic energy. And know that the universe keeps you deep within its being. I wish you a fabulous journey this week. I wish you all love, patience, understanding, and forgiveness. It's going to be a great journey that you're going to be on. And we love you for that.
Shay. So before we get out of here, we just want to remind you of the things that we've talked about today. So again, assessing your situation, changing your language, realizing that your thoughts create form. We've invited you to have an open heart, an open mind, and we're inviting you to open yourself to the universe.
Pay attention. Pay attention. Why, is that a bee? Is that a hummingbird? Is that a goat? Why is Super Freaky always on the radio? Is it that I'm super freaky? Probably. Honor that shit.
Enjoy those blessings, and blessed be.
Blessed be. See you next time.